What's hot on the commodity market?
Well, we're going to give an answer to that today, aren't we?
In the item What's Hot.
What's hot? Yes, exactly.
But first, what's happened?
What happened last week?
I'm happy.
You're happy? What?
Yeah, because because now we are slowly getting into the new quarterly figure season.
Yeah. So we've got some more movement again.
Yeah, so a lot of information is coming out. Q2 figures are really important because the expectations are high on average.
Really
so
high.
Finally, Q2 figures. Daimler, they presented their primary figures.
For the first half year.
For the last quarter and the first.
Combined.
And the official figures will be on the 21st of July.
Mm-hmm.
But they said that the EBIT is 5.4 billion euros and 4.3 billion was expected. And the cash flow was 2.6 versus 1.8 expected. So I was opening the screens this morning and I thought at 9 o'clock,
this is going to be booming.
Yeah, it will be green, but I didn't know how green it was, and it opened in red.
So yeah, but that's a little bit what happens all the time nowadays, isn't it? You expect something, and then completely the opposite happens.
I think they're doing great. And
we saw it yesterday with the Fed, no?
Yeah.
Inflation, normally, the inflation ghost, we had him here in the studio.
Yeah.
He was there again. I don't see him now, because apparently nobody's afraid of it anymore.
Yeah, the Fed. So they said they are still not afraid for the high inflation. They have to go on for 2%, but it can be above 2%, but the average must be 2%. And 13 out of the 18 members of the team of the Fed already agreed to raise the interest rates in 2023. And they still buy for $120 billion every month
on a monthly basis.
Yeah, and that's still the same. So the inflation in June was 5.4%, and that was the highest since 2008. But still, the Fed thinks it's because the distribution of the supply chain.
That's one thing, and I also read they are really focusing on the labor market. So the jobs are not that sustainable yet. They think the unemployment rate is still quite high, and they think that is a structural problem.
Yeah,
and sorry that I interrupt you, because they don't. What I read now on Bloomberg is that they say we don't understand that there's a lot of jobs, new jobs, but still quite a high unemployment. So people don't want those jobs. Some sort of
mismatch.
Yeah, something is going on there.
Yeah, and that's why Powell said that the economy is still not there, because there are some mismatches in the economy, structural mismatches.
But it might also be because they are manipulating it in such a way that it's not really naturally behaving.
And it's also economy-wise, you see the house prices, the sales prices are increasing a lot.
Yeah.
But the rents are not increasing.
The rental income.
And we said it a couple of weeks ago, for the inflation figures, normally a year behind the purchase prices, the renting prices are going up or down. They follow, because normally contracts is for 1 year.
Correct.
So, but until now, the prices of the rental contracts are going down. So also for investors that invest in property, they invest normally because they want to rent it out and gain money from the renting.
Exactly.
And if the renting prices are going down, the house prices are still going up. You have also a mismatch.
You have a mismatch there, absolutely, because your investment is not that profitable.
No.
Yeah, we saw gold moving this week, not that much. It's still it's a little bit nervous, right? It's around the 200-day average. We see very clearly that the barrier of $1,850, $1,850, $1,900 is still intact, and it depends a little bit on further for economical things.
I think everybody knows that gold is a hedge against inflation.
Yep.
So the market thinks that there is not a big high inflation coming up. Otherwise, gold must
have gone up much more. Yeah, I spoke last week with Taco. We had it about oil, the OPEC Plus meeting. Well, we had records last week on Tuesday, prices for about $77 per barrel, and
a strong dollar.
Yeah. But this week we saw crude oil specifically, going down quite heavily, mainly because of the fact that the production and the inventories, they were indicating that bear in mind that the stock went down with 8 million barrels, where it was expected that it's going to be by 4 million. So that is a clear indication. I'm talking here about crude oil. Brent oil went also down a little bit, but not as much as the West Texas crude oil. So that with regards to the oil market. Then what's hot, Kaspar?
I think we are going already from commodities, gold, oil, to other commodities.
Other commodities.
Which one are hot?
Well, cotton is quite hot. And I think we know that due to the pandemic, all the commodity prices have gone up a lot. We spoke before about copper, we spoke about metal, we spoke about aluminium, a lot of different commodities. We spoke about rare metals. But today, cotton. And cotton went up, if we look on a year-to-year basis, with 44.4%. And it's tradable. You can trade it with a future contract. And one future contract, I'm looking at my paper sometimes because I don't have it exactly in my mind, there's a lot of data, is 50,000 pounds of cotton. And if we look at the latest reports from just last week, we see that there's the revision. So they basically gave out a prevision for this year. So they always talk about 2020, 2021, and they had to lower that, revising that prevision actually with 702,000 bales. And now it's coming. What is a bale? So the total global production is 112.6 million bales in the period 2020-2021. And I wanted to know how much is in one bale, and it is actually 170 kilos of raw cotton. And out of that 170 kilos, you can produce 100 kilos of real cotton, which can be then used to produce clothing or also mouth mask, for instance.
That's a lot of cotton.
Yeah. So if we look at the averages, one bale can produce 472 T-shirts on a yearly basis. So the total production on a yearly basis, if it would only be used, is for your information, is 53 billion T-shirts can be produced out of the total production of cotton. But obviously, it's in many other different sorts of.
So that's 8 T-shirts per inhabitant of this world.
Exactly. So some people buy more, some people buy less, but obviously it's also in cars and curtains and many other things. Then we talk about the price expectation. It's very much related also to the deal, the phase one deal between the US and China. China was always one of the largest buyers of cotton, and actually we see that the last couple of months it's been quite quiet. They are not moving themselves that much on the cotton market. And what is also is very important, what we see is that it's very much related obviously to climatological circumstances. And we had a very bad harvest in India, China and Pakistan, which is for that end of the world are the most heavily producing cotton countries. And other thing, and that's the last point what I want to say, which is very much affecting the cotton price, but might be a positive threat, so it might boost the prices, that they had to move, because you know maybe about the Uyghur crisis going on in China, where it's a humanity crisis where they say that some people, about 12 million people living there, and they're not been treated properly, and they are mainly working in the cotton production. So they had to move cotton production to Europe, which is mainly the Mediterranean countries like Greece and that's those areas, and there the cotton price is significantly higher to produce. Obviously, labor is much more expensive. So it's an interesting thing for you as an investor. We will show you the ticker, how you can invest in it. It's something that you can have a look at. It's completely different, but obviously also something that you have to bear in mind. It's the stockage at this moment is quite low. I'm not giving you a hint here or something, but just to investigate. Stockage is quite low. We have the pandemic. There's a lot of demand in the world still, and it will continue because people need to buy and renew their clothes.
I think that it's a really big threat for the big clothing companies, because you said what is a year-to-year base? 40, how much percent increase?
45, yeah.
45%. So if you manufacture this kind of products and you have your purchase price 45% higher, you have to increase your prices, and I don't see that they are doing that.
No, but you obviously know also, and that's why I don't have an answer, but I'm just speculating here, is that the fact that I just said that you can trade it, and we know from other, we have clients, for instance, that
they hedge.
They hedge, yeah. So I think there's a lot of hedging going on with these futures. You see that also in wheat.
Because if they don't do it, the profit margin
milk,
is
potatoes. There's a lot of those futures that can be traded. And so cotton is interesting commodity.
I saw also coffee beans, the Arabica coffee beans. They
really expensive, no?
Yeah, definitely. And the harvest this year is expected to drop the most since 2003. So this is also already in the price, but that will be also increasing the price a lot. Mm-hmm. And I think that the price of coffee, if it's high or low, it can be significant. People drink not more coffee or less coffee. I think
they might opt for cheaper coffee.
And I think if you look at the Nespresso cups, the prices stay the same. So that's again, if their purchase price is so volatile, they hedge their position.
Oh yeah, 100%.
So I think that's that's good for us, because then the product in the store is not increasing that much.
We do drink a lot of coffee.
And then I think also in relation to that, it was funny. This week was announced 2 IPOs of 2 grill makers. What's the most famous grill maker in the world?
Weber, no?
Yes, Weber. They are estimated a value of around $6 billion.
Wow.
Yeah, they filed officially for the IPO, and that's in the revenues in the last 6 months grew with 62% and is around a small $1 billion. Wow. So $2 billion on a yearly basis. And then and the company Traeger.
Traeger. Yeah.
Traeger? Do you say Traeger?
Yeah, I know it.
Well, you have one?
No, I don't have one, but it's actually I'll tell you afterwards. It's I follow this cyclist Lawrence van den Dam, and he is the ambassador of Traeger.
Okay.
So that's why I know him.
And that's a barbecue, but with all kind of connection to apps.
Exactly. Yeah. You can see, you put in something.
You can measure the meat, the heat of the meat.
Yeah, and you know exactly.
You can high or low, so you can sit in your chair and there's your barbecue, and you can
manipulate it.
Yeah, and they go up. The grills go up to $2,000. But they also filed for an IPO this year. So this week. So interesting. And then the last thing, I think, just the takeaway comment figures. We follow them.
Yeah, they grew a lot, no?
Yeah, they grew 37%, but the time before they grew with 79%. So the growth, and still don't make profit. Eh?
No. I heard this morning on the TV that every meal they lose €1 or $1 or something. Was it something like that? No? Yeah. That they deliver then. So it's not a good thing.
And in the summer, people start doing more barbecues. And they don't deliver, they don't get food from just the takeaway. Yeah. Okay, Q2 figures next week.
Yeah,
what's are the most important ones?
Netflix, Coca-Cola, Johnson & Johnson, Intel, and I think also important, the interest rate decision in Europe following the Fed, and also what is interesting for us here in the south of Spain is that Britain is lifting their COVID restrictions on Monday. Okay. So we're going to see what that brings.
Yeah. The unemployment rate is 4.8% and only dropped 0.2% in June from the UK. Yeah. Okay, so if you have a portfolio, please know when your stocks present their Q2 figures, because it's really important, and we can help you, of course. With
Absolutely. Thank you for watching. Give us a thumb up, and then we hope to see you next week again.